Rugby.
Rugby.
The rugby.
Rugby was
Rugby. About rugby.
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 Hi everyone, welcome to the Odd Shaped Ball. Today I want to start moving on from the 2025 British and Irish Lions and start focusing onto the 2027 World Cup hosted in Australia. So my aim for today is to discuss my 33 men squads for the World Cup. I'm going to go over all the top nations over the next few weeks, but I thought it'd be fitting to start with the hosts, the Wallabies. I'm going to get straight into it with the forwards now. I'm going to begin on the loose head side of the props. And the players I deem in consideration are Angus Bell, he is an absolute powerhouse, still only 24. He's going on a sabbatical to Ulster for the next season now. I think he is probably one of the front runners for them. An outside player who hopefully will get more game time this season for the Waratahs with Bell leaving is Isaac Kalia. Another solid player, he's not top player out there, but he's good, he's consistent, and he's also young, like Bell. So hopefully he can prosper with a bit more game time now. Then we have the experience of James Slipper, years of international rugby, can cover both sides, loose head and tight head. So he's definitely a valuable player to always have around, especially for younger players. Then there's Blake Scup, who backs up James Slipper. I wouldn't say he's necessarily going to get in the squad, but I would consider him an option because he has got a couple caps. He was involved in that World Cup squad. Then there's Scott Seo of Exeter Chiefs. With the Gatau law now being removed, Scott Seo is now eligible once again. And he also brings valuable experience, as James Slipper does. So it'll be nice to see if he comes back in. Then we've got Tom Robertson, who plays for the vast improving Western Force. He also has that ability to cover both on loose head and tight head, but he's done it more professionally than James Slipper. Then we also have the two ex-All Blacks, Aidan Ross and Alex Hodgman. Aidan Ross is now joining the Reds for the upcoming Super Rugby Pacific season. I think he is definitely one of the top players that will be playing in Australia now. He is very high quality and unlucky not to get more caps for New Zealand, I think. And Alex Hodgman, I wouldn't put him in with much of a shout, but he had a cap last year, so clearly shows he's in the thinking. Before I go over my final picks, though, I want to discuss the tight head options as well. I think Alan Alatoa is the front runner. Brumby, just brilliant experience, and he has great leadership qualities, captaining the Wallabies a couple of times last year. I also think Taniela Tupu Tongan Four is just an absolute beast, and even though he didn't have his best form in the Super Rugby Pacific season, when he played for the First Nations at Pacifica 15, he put in a shift and really proved his quality. I think the only other player really on that top level in consideration for Australia is Zane Nongogo. Similar to Taniela Tupu, brings great physicality to the game, but not necessarily as big, but he's a good player, definitely up there with the top players in Australia. Then the two outside players, Massimo De Lutis and Risa Neck, I think they're both definitely young and can come in, but I don't see them coming in just yet, maybe in the future. For me at loosehead prop, there are four players straight in immediately for me in Angus Bell, Aidan Ross, Alan Alalotoa and Taniela Tupu. I think they're all ahead of most of the other players in Australia at that position, so I bring them all straight in. Then for my fifth pick, I take Tom Robertson because he has the ability to cover loosehead and tight head at a high level, and I think that'll be useful, especially considering the possibility of my next pick. So for my sixth and final pick in the squad, I take James Slipper. If he's still fit, playing international rugby at a high level, I take him every day of the week. That experience is so valuable, especially for Bell, who's still 24. But if he's not, I, without a doubt, leave him behind and have Tom Robertson cover loose head and tight head, and I will take an additional player elsewhere in the squad. Moving on to hooker, I think this is probably one of Australia's most plentiful and high quality positions. To start off with, Billy Pollard, first choice of the Brumbies, brilliant season. I think he is probably one of the most on-form hookers in the world at the moment. 23 years of age, so he's going to have he looks like he'll still have a bright future. Started in that final test against the Lions where they actually won the game. Then Matt Fassler, the Queensland Red, who seemed to be first choice last year but fell down the pecking order a little bit. High quality, decent, average, always consistent player, so not bad at all. After Matt Fassler, we have the two Western Force boys in Nick Jolly, who now qualifies. He's not played for England in a long enough period of time, and Brandon Perugamosa. Personally, I think Nick Jolly is the best hooker in Australia, period. I think he is very high quality, has all the attributes of a perfect hooker. And Brandon Pingramosa isn't far off him. Like, he brings that physicality that Australia seemed to be lacking in that first test against the Lions. So it's good to have him around. Next up, we have Josh Nasser, the other Queens in the red. He gives good diversity covering hooker and tight end prop, which is a very good thing to do at international and test level. So it's good to have him around. And then we also have Lachlan Lonergan, the backup to Billy Pollard at the ACT Brumbies. Also high quality player, not the best out there, but I think he is quite good. Then for the final three hookers, I consider to be Wallaby test worthy for the World Cup are the three ones currently based in France, in Tolu Latu of La Rochelle, who contests with Pierre Begalit, one of the best hookers in France. So definitely a good player to be contesting with, and he starts on a frequent basis, Latu, so it shows his quality. Then we have Jordan Uelis, who plays on Montpellier. He was there in the 2023 World Cup, and he made his debut on the flank this year for Montpellier, so it shows his work right around the pitch and how high quality he is. And then we also have Felo Fenga, who I wouldn't rate as highly as the other two, but he's definitely an option, and he's shown good quality for Clermont over the last year or so. But for my final picks, though, at hooker, first is Nick Dolly, because as I've stated, I think he's the best hooker in Australia. My next pick is Billy Pollard, who I also said is probably one of the most on-form players, and I just think he's brilliant and very young, so it's good to have him around. And then to bring a bit of experience in, I bring Tolu Latu from La Rochelle, because to be contesting with Pierre Bogaret, and still getting starts most frequent basis is really impressive, and that deserves to be rewarded. And it will be a brilliant way for Billy Pollard to grow as a player and develop. I think Les Kiss, when he takes over, I think he'll pick Matt Fassler over Tolu Latu and possibly Brandon Pingramosa above Nick Dolly. I don't see why no one's brought Nick Dolly in, but yeah. Moving on to the second row now. At second row, I think there are 5 clear options to be in competition for those shirts. First, Will Skelton, absolutely massive man, brings that physicality that you want in a team. And he proved his quality against Lions, and he also has that club partnership with Tolu Latu at hooker, which would definitely assist in the lineouts if Will Skelton is jumping, if you can get him up in there. Next is Nick Frost, who leads that line up brilliantly, and he does brilliant work right around the pitch, showing his quality all the time. Very consistent player. It could captain the side if he wanted to. Then we got Jeremy Williams, who I think is just as good as Will Skelton and Nick Frost, but they've both been embedded in that team longer, and that's why they're in. Jeremy Williams, though, shows great quality for Western Force and the Wallabies, and I think he's always going to be hard done by, probably not getting a start due to Will Skelton and Nick Frost. Then we've got Darcy Swain, Jeremy Williams' club teammate, who's also very good player. Wouldn't say he's up there with Will Skelton and Nick Frost like Jeremy Williams is, but he's definitely a really good player in contention. And then finally, Lakan Salakaia-Loto, the red, who was very hard done by not being included in that Wallabies squad for the British and Irish Lions. He played for the Reds, he played for the First Nations, the Pacifica 15, and the Anzac team, all against the Lions, and put shifts in all of them. He has got good physicality, which the Wallabies need to keep going, especially if you want to bring people off the bench like that. So he's definitely a great player to have in the squad if he's picked, Outside of the 5, there are 4 other players I would give a chance. I'm not saying they necessarily would be in. We got Josh Canham, who's a decent player, not the best out there. I can't see him in the squad at all. Ryan Smith, I could see getting in. He's moving to Ospreys this season, so who knows how that might develop his game. Then we have Angus Bliff. Again, not sure how good he is. I don't rate his odds too highly, decent enough. And then Matt Phillip, who went in the 2023 World Cup, he's been playing in Japan, but he's now moving back to the Waratahs, and if that helps build his relationship with some of the players in the Wallabies, it could definitely bolster his chances. But for my final picks, first of all, Will Skelton straight in, absolute menace. He's getting older, but it's good to have the experience there. Nick Frost next up. I think he leads the lineup brilliantly, and of course, with them two in, Jeremy Williams is next up for me. And then for my final pick in the second row, I'm taking 4. I would take Lakan Salakaia-Loto. I think his physicality is too good and his form is too good, and I just don't think Darcy Swain's right up there just now. Moving on to the back row, I'm going to only have players in one position. Some players I've probably moved a bit out of position here. who probably play in other positions more, but oh well. So first of all, on the blind side, Rob Ballatini, great player. Like unlucky, he missed. He only got to play the one test against the Lions. He probably would have changed the game massively because he did in that second test when he played, and his physicality is unmatched. The only issue is if you have both Will Skelton and Rob Ballatini there, it really depends who you take on the bench. If you're playing Tanya, if you want to start Tanya Tupu as well, you have to play either Skelton or Valentini on the bench, because in that second test when they took Skelton and Valentini off, everything changed. The physicality went down, and that's when the Lions got the game back. So they need to keep the physicality going. So if they're not going to start, if they're going to start Skelton and Valentini, they need to bench either Tupu or Salih. But moving on to the other options at blindside, we have Tom Hooper, who's a very different player to Rob Ballatini. He's more line-out based. He works more around the pitch and gets around doing stuff. But he's not as a heavier ball carrier, and he doesn't create as much disruption running through the defence. Moving to Exeter this season, so it'll be nice to see how much game time he gets there. Because in the back row, that is where Exeter does have a bit more depth than other positions. Next up is Nick Champion. I know he primarily plays 8 for the Western Force, but he did start that first test for the Wallabies at blindside. I know that was due to injuries and all, but so I'm just going to class him here anyway. I think he played for France for a couple of years, did well, and he's definitely had a breakout year with the Western Force this year. But I don't think he's quality of a Wallaby personally. People seem to like him a lot, but he's definitely a big lad. But in my personal opinion, I wouldn't take him. Now onto the man that was originally designated the captaincy by Joe Smith, Liam Wright. He's been injured a lot this past year, so it's really hard to tell if he will come back in. I wouldn't be shocked. He's definitely a good player, but I just don't think they need him. I think they have better options all around the park in the back row. Unfortunately for him, because he is a good player, he definitely has a chance of being in. Up next, we have two players very similar to Tom Hooper in the way they play, more line out orientated around the pitch, work rate rather than a dominant physical ball carrier like Valentini. In Rob Leota, who's moving to France this year. He joined the Waratahs after Melbourne went bankrupt. I don't think he's necessarily been on the best form, but he's definitely a good enough player. I don't see him coming in with the Wallabies anytime soon, though, especially after Siru Uru in that First Nations Pacifica 15 game. I think he dominated everything. He was brilliant, and he was an asset at the lineup. At the lineout, I think he has definitely edged himself above some players in the picking order for the Wallabies now. Then on to the last player for me at blindside in Josh Kemeny, who was a part of that team but beat Leinster in the Champions Cup this year, which is definitely an achievement. Showed good quality. He was there in the 2023 World Cup. Still fairly young, so I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in. He's quite similar to Liam Wright in my opinion, but I think he's better and definitely shows more quality. And I wouldn't be surprised if he came in at all either. On to open side flankers now. I think Fraser McRae and Carlo Tizzano are the front runners for that shirt, and I don't think there's really going to be much debate there. I think Fraser McRae has been brilliant all round game, and Carlo Tizzano is definitely improving to what he was a couple of years ago now. So I think they're the front runners going into the World Cup, and I don't think that's going to change. But if we are thinking outside of them, I think the next two players off the cab of the rank are Charlie Gamble. I don't see him getting in though, but he is eligible for a Tonga, so maybe we'll see him on that list. And Rory Scott for the Brumbies, who's had a brilliant season. He's in competition with another option on this, Luke Reimer, who I wouldn't rate as highly as some of the other open sides, but it's definitely an option. And my final pick for a possible open side is San Diego Brad Wilkin, who played for Melbourne last year, but obviously with the bankruptcy left. I went over to San Diego, and I think he's done well this season with San Diego. So it'd be nice to see if he came back in, especially with the Gatau law now being gone. Now, the final position in the back row, number 8. First choice, 100%, and maintaining captaincy, Harry Wilson. I think he is amazing. He's so brilliant. And in like all due respect to Liam Wright, I think his injury last year was probably one of the best things to happen to Wallaby rugby for Wilson to get that captaincy. He has took it in the grasp of his hands, and he's not let the Wallabies down since. I don't see anyone else taking his spot really. Outside of him, I think Langy Gleeson still high quality. He's also moving to France for this upcoming season, but he's really young still. and he had a brilliant season of Waratahs this year. He had a little injury worry around the middle, but he's fine now, and like he's in and out of the Wallabies lineups, so nice to see him around. There were two other options at 8, in my opinion, in Charlie Cale, the young lad, who is definitely a good player and shows good promise. He was injured for most of the season this year, but he's very high quality and he works around the pitch a lot. He's quite similar to Tom Hooper, as I've mentioned with Robbie Lota and Siva Uru, but he plays 8, which is different. So definitely an option. And then the experience of Pete Samu, who played for Bordeaux this season, had a brilliant bloody season. But now he's moving back to the Waratahs to cover for Langley and going to France. But Pete Samu, brilliant player, experience. But it's like, if you take him, like, is he still going to be fit by World Cup time? That'll probably be the only worry. Now, for my final picks in the back row, the two blindsides I'm taking are Rob Valentini and Tom Hooper. Tom Hooper covers second row, of course, and Rob Valentini covers 8. And if worse comes to worse, you can always use Jeremy Williams or Lachlan Salakai a lot on the flank. My picks at open side are Fraser McRae and Carlos Tizano, two front runners, as I said. I don't see much changing there. And then at 8, Harry Wilson, captain, brilliant player. Don't see him not being in. And then Langy Gleeson, because hopefully he'll improve more than he already is this season with the French team he's joining. But those are my picks at back row. So now we'll move on to the back line, starting off with the scrum halves. This is by far Australia's worst position. They have Tate McDermott, who's a good player, but he's more impact. He brings that speed off the bench, great. Ryan Lonergan, who I rate highly, and I think he should be in. He should have been in a while ago, I reckon. And then finally, if Jake Gordon, who seems to be first choice at the moment, now injured, but I think he is also a good player, but it's now outside of here where the Warriors hit. Jake Gordon's out for the Rugby Championship, and Joe Smith has asked Dick White to stay out of retirement because, and this shows the hesitation to call up another scrum half. Outside of the 3 I mentioned, I think there are 2 other possible options, but they're really outside chances if you had to call someone up. In Teddy Wilson, the Waratah, who's not a bad club player, but he's not Wallaby ready. And Kalani Thomas, who's also decent enough, but I don't think he's Wallaby ready at all. So it's clear my final picks are Tate McDermott, Ryan Lonergan, and Jake Gordon. At fly half, I wouldn't say it's their best position, but they have good players around. So they have good youth, but very experienced players. But like no one seems to really be taking like no one seems to take the shirt and properly use it. Like first up on my list is probably Tom Liner, dead shot goal kicker. Like he got given the nod against the British and Irish Lions, but he didn't step up. Even when that physicality was up by the forwards, he still didn't fix up. Then we have Harry McLaughlin Phillips, the backup to Tom Liner at the Reds. I think he probably should start now. He's very young, he's coming out the under 20s very recently, but he shows some great prospect, and I'm looking forward to seeing him bitting around and stuff. Next up are the 2 experienced lads, in my opinion, in James O'Connor, the Super Rugby Pacific winner with the Crusaders this year, and Bernard Foley for Kubota Spears, who also won the competition this year, which is great for both of them. I think James O'Connor is more likely, as he's already in about the squad recently, and he has amazing versatility covering the whole of the back line except scrum half. At international level, this is as well. Then other options, I would say Noah Lolesio. Like he's clearly been given the nod a bit more than the others. Like he's good, consistent for the Brumbies and stuff, so it's good to have him around. And Ben Donaldson, who's I think is very underrated. He's very consistent for both Western Force and the Wallabies, but like they seem to not want to give him a shot for the Wallabies, really, which I think is quite unfair, but it is what it is. Then we have the 2 Waratahs in Tane Edmund, who's the younger option, but seemed to have lost the Waratahs starting shirt this year. He's now been included in the Rugby Championship squad. And then we've also got Lawson Creighton, who seemed to have a breakout year, even though he's a bit older now, at 27. So, like, not old, but not young, but a bit late to be making your breakthrough year, really. But he's been good, and he took the nod at the Waratahs. So it's nice to see. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then finally, the Osprey in Jack Walsh. I think he is fantastic. Covers fullback as well. And now with this guitar law gone, I just don't see how you don't include him. He's been brilliant for ages now. My picks at fly half. First of all, Noah Lolesio. I think he's brilliant and just might as well have him around. He's been given the nod. And if you have Ryan Lonergan there, it's a good club partnership to have about, especially if Ikitau in the if we take Ikitau in the centres. Then we have James O'Connor. I take if he's still fit and playing. Same situation as James Slipper. He's getting older now, but if he's still playing at high level by the World Cup, I take him. But if not, I take Ben Donaldson in his place. But for my third and final pick in the fly half position, I take Jack Walsh because I think Jack Walsh is a brilliant player, and I just don't see him not going especially if the Qatar law now gone. On to the centres, starting with the inside centres. I'm going to go based off of who's played more in each position, not like what I think their specialty is, because some can play across. I'm just going to go with what they play more in. So starting off at inside centre, first person in consideration for me is Hunter Paisami. I feel bad for him. I feel really unlucky for him because he got injured to the latter end of last year, around when Joseph Suolali came in, and it's unlucky because Leonard Katal shifted to 12 and Suolali at 13, and they're both too good not to play. So I feel bad for Paisami because he's not going to get another chance to really prove himself, I don't think. But he's definitely the first player in consideration at 12 for me. Another option, Hamish Stewart, good player, decent enough. I don't think he did the best against the British and Irish Lions when he played, but like for the Western Force. But he's playing for an improving team, and it's like we'll see what happens over the next year or two. Then we have the Japan player Samu Kurevi, who is a absolute freak. He runs into things very hard, very physical. It's not really stopping him. He's like a Bundyaki but smaller. It's ridiculous. For my last two picks at 12, I take Joey Walton, the Waratah. I think he's good and definitely decent enough player. He could play Wallabies if he wanted to, I reckon. And David Feliao. Um, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I have no idea how to pronounce it. I think I like him a lot. A lot of people see him more as a 13, but I think he plays really well at 12 for the Brumbies. And looking forward to seeing him next season now. The next 13 for me is the Leicester Tiger Isaiah Paris. I don't think he's had his best year of playing rugby, but he was involved in that 2023 World Cup, and he's definitely an option. Then we probably get onto one of the better centres in the world, Len Ikitau. Moving to Exeter for the upcoming season, so it'll be nice to see how he changes to adapt to the players around him. Definitely good. Definitely good. He's one of the best. He's amazing. He's a phenomenon. Like he can shift at 12 and 13. Like he can do literally whatever he needs to do at any given time. Brilliant player. Next up, Joseph Okusu Suolali, the bloody rugby league boy who has come in and given the world a bloody shock. I reckon he can shift anywhere in the back line if he wanted to, because of the aerial skills he has and the absolute skill set he has, the defensive work as well. Joseph Suolali is a specimen and he should be studied. It's ridiculous. For my next pick of 13, I take Lalakai Foketi. I think he's good. Definitely really good. He pairs up really well with Joey Walton at the Waratahs. I know the Waratahs are not the best performing team at all, but he definitely works well there with Joey Walton. He was also a member of that 2023 World Cup, so he's definitely been around the system. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him around. And then finally, for my last pick, Dre Pickale, the 20-year-old Red. He's fantastic. He is. He's got some bright talent in him, and you can see he's definitely a prospect for the future. Can't wait to see what he develops to become. So hopefully the Reds do a good job of him this year and changing him, developing him, like improving that skill set. You know, he's another player that can shift between 12 and 13 really well. But for my final pick in the centres, I only take three: Hunter Paisami, Len Ikitau, and Joseph Suolali. I think they're all fantastic, and there are definitely other players who deserve a chance, but I don't see them making this squad because I need to keep the numbers down to 33 still. So some players are just going to have to be unlucky, I guess. Moving on to the Wallabies' probably most packed position, like the position of the most depth, the back three, more specifically on the wing. They've got some right talent there, and I just can't wait to get into it. So starting off with wings, first pick in, he's straight in for me, is Filippo Dalgunu. He covers 13, so it's not as much of a stress now for there only being the three centres in the squad. So he's an absolute physical ball carrier, mental. Like he's rapid, he's really fast, powerful, strong. Like he's a good finisher, very good. So he's in straight away for me, and like first pick, first option. Next up is Western Force Dylan Pesht. Again, I'm sorry if I pronounce that wrong. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I think he is phenomenal. I didn't rate him at all. But when he played against the British and Irish Lions for the Western Force, oh my goodness, he put in the shift, and I was very impressed. And then he came in, played against the Lions for the Wallabies, and he looked amazing. And that's amongst some of the best back three players in the world. Hugo Keenan, Blair Kinghorn, Tommy Freeman, Max Jorgensen for the Wallabies as well. Like Dylan Pushed looked right in his place. He looked like he belonged there. So he's definitely in consideration, like without doubt in my mind. Next up is Dylan Pish's teammate, Harry Potter. Not the wizard, but he made his debut last year, had a really good game. Joe Smith seems to like him a lot. He's moving to the Waratahs this season, which is probably going to be a new challenge for him because there's good depth on the wings there. I rate Harry Potter highly, but I don't think he's I don't think he's going to be first choice at all. He might not even make the squad for me. I think there are better options around the park, really. Then we get onto the wonderway, the one young player people don't seem to want to talk about really, Max Jorgensen. He's 20. He's not even made 21 yet, and he's played for the Wallabies on numerous occasions against the Lions and other countries. He is a phenomenal player. His skills, his finishing ability, his work rate around the pitch, like he acts like a bloody Cheslin Colby the way he plays. He's phenomenal, and he's going to start for the Wallabies the next couple of years now. I know it. He's so good. He'll make this World Cup squad without a doubt in my mind at all. He is fantastic. I could go on all day about how good he is because he is just bloody phenomenal. Next up, we got another player similar to Filippo Dalgunu, like in the way he plays, power, speed, and this is Marika Koroibete. He's also unreal, but he's getting older now, so that's probably what dents his like chances of getting in. Because if he was younger, I don't he would be in. He'd be in if he was younger, but unfortunately he's not. So, oh well to Marika. But he's also a phenomenal player. And if someone went down injured and you had to call someone in the squad, you bring Marika Koroibete in. He's used to being in a World Cup system, and he knows what he's doing. So, just great player to bring in. Next up, Darby Lancaster, decent player, good for the Waratahs. Not like the best out there, but he's an option. He got like a couple of games I think for the Wallabies last year. Did well for Melbourne, so definitely in consideration. Then I think this next player I'm going to mention, he's very underrated. Not many people know how good he really is. In Tim Ryan, the Queensland Red, he's got some like right talent on him, but people just don't seem to rate him high enough. Like Ben Donaldson sort of, but at least Ben Donaldson's kind of given the chance. Tim Ryan performs phenomenally, consistently, but people just don't seem to want to pick him. I don't. I wonder if there's something at training which we don't get to see, like his work rate at training, but who knows? But I think he's severely underrated. Definitely a high quality player, but just not picked really, which is unfortunate. Another high quality player but doesn't get picked is Andy Moorhead. I wouldn't pick him personally at all. Really, I think he's such high quality for Brumbies, and he definitely would take a. If he got a Wallaby shirt, he would definitely take a shot at it and he would put in a shift. But like ultimately, he's not test quality. I don't think he's a good club player. It's probably all he'll amount to really, but definitely an option. If there was an injury or two, I wouldn't hesitate if like Andy Muirhead was called in. So definitely an option. But not least, Corey Toole. Oh gosh, such a class player. I think he is absolutely brilliant. X7 star, rapid pace this guy has got on him. I'm quite surprised he hasn't actually got a Wallabies cap now because he's been in a couple squads now for Joe Smith. Obviously it's just like Jorgensen's there, and they've had Pesh, they've had Potter, Callaway, so it's not like they've needed him to step in, but he's clearly left in the squad for a reason. So he'll get when he's going to get a chance, he'll get a chance, and he'll take it with both hands, and he will perform to the best of his ability. Not hesitate, like wouldn't hesitate to start him. Great player. Now on to the last position, fullback. Tom Wright. Do I need to say more? He is top quality, speed, playmaking, does everything you want in a fullback, really. He's just such an attacking threat. He might need to work on his defence a tiny bit, but his tackle makes up for it. So yeah, I don't see him not being in at all. Like, he's straight in for me. Then we have Andrew Kellaway, the man who covers both wing and fullback. I don't know what he did wrong this year. Like, I know he didn't have his best Super Rugby season, but he seemed to be the starting Wallaby. Come come the warm-up test against Fiji and the British and Irish Lions, Harry Potter gets this nod. Like, I don't know what Kellaway did wrong, but Andrew Kellaway, I think he is a brilliant player. Don't see why he would not be in. If he's fit and playing, he's in for me. If an injury were to occur, the two other fullbacks I reckon are in consideration are Queensland Red Jock Campbell. Good player, consistent. Like, he's very attacking dominant. Wouldn't say he's as fast as Tom Wright, but he's also like what you want in a fullback, really. So he's definitely a good player to have there to back up. And then another player I think probably has a shot of a Wallaby shirt in Jack Maddox. With the Gatow law now gone, him playing for POW, I reckon he has a good shot of getting with the Wallabies now. Probably not above Kellaway and Wright and probably Suolali because he can also play there quite well, especially with aerial skills. But no, I think Jack Maddox, he's also quite a high quality player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a couple more caps before he ends his career. Now for my final picks in the back three, as previously mentioned, I take Filippo Dalgunu because he covers centre, which is good to have considering I'm only taking the three. Then I take Dylan Pesh and Max Jorgensen on the wing because I think they're both great talents. Max Jorgensen especially. As I said, I can rave on about him all day. Great player. Then my fullbacks I take in the squad are Andrew Kellaway and Tom Wright. And Kell's obviously covering the wing. Great players as well. They're fantastic. So it's great to have them around. And now we get to James Slipper. If James Slipper's not fit and playing, Tom Roberts covers both sides, and I take Corey Toole as that additional player in the squad. Because as much as I love Corey Toole, I don't see him getting in. I think that back three depth is that good for the Wallabies. So unlucky for Corey Toole if Slipper's playing, but James Slipper's great in his own way. So Toole could definitely prove me wrong if he goes and now gets a couple of Wallaby starts and proves a point, but we'll have to see. So if a player were to get injured, my call-ups in each position, these are the players I'd call up, like next off the cab of the rank, you know. So loose head prop, Isaac Kalia. I think he's also young prospect. Like, I'd rather bring him in than some other guy who I don't think is going to grow that much as a player. Isaac Kalia could definitely learn a lot still, and he'll probably benefit from being involved in a World Cup squad. Jordan Uelis, if a hooker goes down, I think he's very close to being in the squad in the first place. Like, he's an amazing player for Montpellier and all. Then at tight head, Zayn Nongogor, as I said, very similar to Taniela Tupu, and like he has that physicality. And Rita Neck and Massimo Delutas are not there just yet, so unlucky for them. Second row, as I said, there were 5 good options there, and I took 4 of them, so it leaves Darcy Swain. Blindside option, I take Josh Kemeny as he has the experience of being in a World Cup and doing really well for Northampton. Open side, Rory Scott, because Gamble, he might be of Tonga, who knows, we'll see. And then Pete Samu, because he's experienced, he's been about, he will know how to fit in the system with the Wallabies well, quickly and get settled, so you don't have to worry about like Kale having to adjust or something like that. If a scrum half goes down and you have to call someone up, I guess it'll be Teddy Wilson. As I said, I think he's a Wallaby worthy. Maybe good club player, but not Wallaby worthy. If a fly half goes down, as mentioned, Ben Donaldson would come in if James Conner wasn't fit, so that applies if an injury happens. Then in the centres, if a 12 goes down, so if Pasami leaves, I bring in Samu Karevi. If a 13 goes down, I will bring in Josh Fuchs. And if something were to happen to a winger or a fullback, Jack Maddox comes in at fullback, and Corey Toole will come in on the wing for me. Yeah. So now, what a starting lineup would look like to me if it came down to the Rugby World Cup final, the starting lineup for me would look like this. Angus Bell starts on the loose side with Nick Dolly in hooker, Alan Alalatoa on that tight head side, bringing that good leadership and experience there to bounce out. Because Nick Dolly's fairly young and Bell's also young, so it bounces the scales out a bit. Then in the second rows, take Will Skelton, Nick Frost. Like, they're both phenomenal. You can't not start them, really. And then blindside, Rob Ballatini, because how do you not have him there? It's ridiculous. Fraser McRae, because he just has that all-round game which Carlos Lozano hasn't developed just yet. Harry Wilson, captaincy. I've already raved on about him. Love him. Then if we go to the back line, I start Ryan Lonergan. I think he's a great player. I think he's very underrated. And he'll pair well with Noah Lolesio in my 10 because they play at club together. I know Lolesio is actually moving clubs, but they will still have had time together beforehand. So come World Cup time, they will still know each other well. Then if we go to centres, I take Ikatau at 12. So that's another player for Lolesio and Lonergan, like to go with Suolali at 13. On the wings, I go with Max Jorgensen on the left wing. Amazing player. I can keep saying all I want. I'm not going to go on about it anymore. And then Andrew Kellaway, because I think he's got good experience, been at a World Cup already. And I just, again, I don't see why it was dropped because he had one bad season. It's not like people, they might not have the best seasons, but when it comes to test, it proves their quality. Like Tom Curry for the Lions, like he didn't have his best games in those warm-up games. When it comes to those British and Irish Lions games against the Wallabies, he stepped up and he's probably one of the better players. So, like, exactly, that's what I think would have happened with Kellaway, and I just don't see why it's dropped. Then at fullback, I take Tom Wright every day. Brilliant player. Can't argue there. Like, that attack is going to be so bolstered by him there, and he will change the game. Like, if he's not there, I don't know how successful the Wallabies would be in that attack. So he has to be in at fullback for me. Onto the bench, Billy Pollard, great player. Don't see him not being there. I take the props as an Aiden Ross. Tempted to take James Slipper, but I think Aiden Ross will be more in his prime, and James Slipper will be getting older now and is more there for experience purposes in the squad. And then physical freak Taniela Tupu, Tongan 4. He's in on the bench for me because he'll bring that physicality off the bench. Then I actually go for 6-2 split and take Jeremy Williams, Lacan Salakaya and Carlo Tizzano. Because Salakaya covers blindside, Valentini starts, but you can cover 8 if something happens to Wilson, and Tizzano obviously covers 7. Then scrum half replacement, Tate McDermott. He covers scrum half and wing. Like we saw him come on the wing against the Lions the other week. Even though they had right, they could have shifted right and played Donaldson at fullback. No, they chose to put McDermott on the wing, and that happened for a reason. And then James O'Connor to finish that bench off. Experience covers pretty much every position, so you don't have to worry about the back line. If an injury happens, James O'Connor can step up, and he has that experience to manage that game well, help out a young Noah Lolesio. So, yeah, that was what my starting lineup would be. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Odd Shape Ball. The next team I plan on doing will either be England or Argentina. So stay tuned. Thank you. Bye.